Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or tea and sit back and let's chat about the astrology, human design, and gene keys for the week ahead. And what a great week we actually have on tap for us. And I'm going to show that to you through three different ways today. I'm going to show that to you through astrology, but I'm also going to delve a little bit into the human design aspects of the week. And I'm going to roll out something new today. For each week, we're going to take a deeper dive into a gene key. And so the gene key of the week is something that I'll be talking about before we leave. Good morning to all of you out there. I see Mimi and Michelle. Good morning to each of you. Mimi, I hope you had a great weekend or a great show. I know you were sort of at an art show. I saw your display that you took pictures of. It was really beautiful. Good morning, Vanita, and good morning, Linda. And as people start to join us, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. We actually had our family Thanksgiving on Saturday evening. And of course, as always, it's lots of fun, lots of good food, playing games. And I'm really blessed with my family as we all get along. I mean, we certainly have a couple of colorful-ish characters in our family, but for the most part, we adore one another and love playing games and having a good time. And yesterday, by contrast, totally quiet. Like I was able to get a lot of work done yesterday. So I kind of like weekends like that have a building to something and then just sort of relax at the end. Good morning, Jacqueline Tyler. Mimi says, thank you. It was indeed a good show. Awesome. Good morning, Cindy Mitchell. It's good to see you out there this morning. So good morning, Vanita. And I said good morning, Vanita and Linda. I don't know. I'm getting senile, I guess. Mercury retrograde addles my mind a bit. So I have to tell you guys a Mercury retrograde story because it's really kind of funny. On Friday, as I was signing off, actually last Thursday or Wednesday, I think it was, my computer started sort of showing me little issues that it was having. Like it was slow to start up. And I think it was like maybe it was Wednesday or Thursday morning. I almost thought I wasn't going to come on live because my computer wasn't going to let me in. And finally it got over its bad self and it, went on and seemingly it was fine. So then I leave the broadcast on Friday morning and I go off to the doctor in Seattle and leave my computer. I don't take it with me or anything like that. I come back home and I have a reading to do. And bless Colleen's heart because she was so flexible. I could not get in my computer for nothing. And it was like blank screen, nothing there. And no matter what, I was doing Control Alt Delete. I was, taking and restarting it. And eventually, I just gave up. I ended up I think Colleen and I were scheduled for a reading at 3:30 and it was about 2:30 when I got home and I'm attempting to get HP on the phone and nothing is working. And I'm getting mad, I'm getting upset. And then I remembered that I had just told everybody on the morning show that it was going to be about our having to have patience, right? That we were looking at the gene key that was impatience in the shadow and patience in its gift. And let's see, I forgot which gene key that was. I want to say it was 34. Nope, that was a different one. Good God, Janet, what gene key were we working on that day? Patience 5. Oh yes, 5. Because I was telling you where Mercury was sitting for its retrograde phase, and it began retrograde on Friday at gate 5, which is the gate of patience in the gift and timelessness in the city, but in the lower expression is impatience. So here I am. I have 30 minutes to get this computer up and running so that Colleen and I can do our reading. I cannot get it working. I have HP on the phone and he's like, well, it sounds like you have a hard drive problem. You're going to have to run this program. And it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. I'm like, 2 to 4 hours. I said, you don't understand. I have a client in less than an hour. And he's like, well, this is the only thing we can do right now to find out what's going on. So I let that go. I work with Colleen. We figure out what we're going to do. 4 hours later, literally 4 hours later, I'm on the phone with HP again. And I finished that test and my hard drive is fine. There's nothing wrong with my hard drive. And the man he doesn't look at me because I'm not looking at him, but he says to me, ma'am, I think you have to learn to have patience. I went, oh, no, you did not just say that. Oh, no, you did not just say that. And he starts laughing on the other end. And he's like, why? And so I tell him why it is that I am laughing at the idea of having patience. And, he is total right brain sort of, or left brain sort of guy. And he wants to know why it is that I would believe in something like astrology. We had a really good conversation. But let me tell you, when I say it was 9:00 that night, finally, when I got my computer up and running, and it's been running great ever since. And one of the last things that, his thought to me was, well, you have to have patience because when you have so much going on your computer that you have to have patience to allow everything to load up fully before you try to take action. And I was like, oh my gosh, you just don't know what you're giving me the framework for all of us for right now, this moment in time, that framework of we have to have patience because nothing is fully loaded yet in order for us to go forward. Right? It's like the universe has not yet defined fully for us where we're going, what we're doing, how we're going to get there. And it requires patience on our part. It was beautiful, just beautiful. Not very often that those things happen like that, where it's just like in my face. And it was so in my face that all I could do was laugh and have such great gratitude for HP, Hewlett Packard, who is HP? I don't know who they are, but they were so good about helping me get this taken care of. It was crazy. So let's see. Good morning, Lynn. Lynn Goldberg is back from her trip. Welcome. Michelle Gay. Good morning. Asa. Oh my gosh, it's good to see you out there. That must mean you're feeling better. Good morning, Colleen. Colleen says, this is funny. Ironically, I lost my patience on AAA after we hung up and finally got service. I'm glad nothing was wrong with your computer. Yeah, me too, sweetheart. Me too. Good morning, Debbie. Good to see you. And Suzanne, good morning to you. So I'm glad you were all able to be with me this morning on this wonderful, for at least in this country, Thanksgiving week. It's a short week. I probably will not come to you on Thanksgiving Day. I will see. Possibly Friday morning I will be with you. My grandson's football team was invited to participate in the Youth Football Hall of Fame League. Say that 10 times fast. And he has a game on Friday. And if they come out winners in this game, then they're invited to go to Canton, Ohio, where the actual Football Hall of Fame is, and participate in that the final where they could become the Super Bowl champs of all of the youth football leagues. Wouldn't that be awesome? Little Podunk, Cedro Woolley, where they live, where their team is, hitting the big time in in youth football. It's just it's awesome. It is awesome. So anyway, let's talk about what's happening this week. So much happening, but it's really good stuff. So as I sat down yesterday, which by the way, usually I write the week ahead on Thursday, but last week I lost my mind somewhere, totally did not get the information to Tam in order to do the artwork. That's my mea culpa, my bad. I was driving home from Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday night and I went, oh my God, I didn't do that. I didn't send it to her. So I wrote to her yesterday morning and just said, look, I'm really sorry. We're going to skip it this week. It's a short week anyway. I will just go in depth with you guys and talk about what's coming up for this week. And I apologize. There's no artwork this week. I don't know if she'll go on and do it and just share it later. I don't know. It's been just kind of a crazy time. So I hope you'll all be okay with just the words this week. So here we are with the week ahead, the moon beginning today in Aries, transiting through Taurus, Gemini, and into Cancer on Sunday or late Saturday night and into Sunday. So we have a week that is taking up the first quarter of the astrological or the zodiac, right? Aries begins the zodiac, and then we're going through the first fourth of the signs in this week. This week, the sun also moves into the sign of Sagittarius on Thanksgiving Day, early in the morning. By the time you wake up on Thursday morning, the sun will already have transitioned out of Scorpio, thankfully, leaving us alone from that point of view for a while, and into the sign of Sagittarius. Everything is going to look different, more optimism in the air, and more generosity of spirit, etc., coming up this week with that. Right after we are eating our dinners, likely here on the West Coast, we have the full moon that is across Gemini and Sagittarius. Always a lovely moon. It always reminds me of how we are growing and evolving to, in being more inclusive. I love that axis, not just because I'm a Gemini, but because that axis does seem to have a lot of ability to grow and to, absorb knowledge and follow, I call it following threads, but chasing curiosities, right? Looking for more information and things like that. Good morning, Anne. It's good to see you. Good morning, Londa. Love you too. Haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see you out there this morning. By the way, Londa has a brand new website. And I don't know that maybe I'm jumping the gun, Londa, but if you want to type in the website link and let people go take a look, I thought it was beautifully done, or at least what I saw was beautiful. So please feel free to share that with everybody. Then late in the week, Friday, Neptune turns direct. It has been in retrograde motion since June. And when Neptune is in retrograde motion, we are much more apt to listen to our intuition. We are far more inclined to follow those inner urgings and to listen deeper to the voice from within. When Neptune changes direct, though, then suddenly it's like, wham, somebody pulled the shades down. We can't see clearly. It's like there's something on my lenses and I can't see what's going on. I might feel a little disoriented. I'm easily deceived when Neptune changes direction to direct. And it is notable that this is happening on Black Friday, right? Friday, this is occurring. So in my writing this week, in my blog post that most of you I'm sure got, I most definitely said, if you're going to be out there shopping deals and bargains, be sure you're getting what you paid for. Right? Be very, very, very sure that they're not just, shoving something onto you, or you think you're getting one thing and you're actually getting another. So it's going to require us to have our magnetic boots on, right? You know, how astronauts, when they're out in space, have these magnetic boots that keep them grounded, or lest they fly off into space and end up, somewhere floating around. You're going to need your magnetic boots. Put them on. Stay grounded, be aware, stay in your body, because it's going to be very difficult with some other of the things going on this week to stay that clear and that grounded. Remember, Mercury is also retrograde, and in the retrograde, things aren't clear anyway. So caution. And to end the week, we have a sun conjunct Jupiter. Once a year, the sun comes around and picks up on Jupiter and begins the 12-month cycle of growth that we can experience as we move forward. So we'll take a little bit of a dive through that this week, looking at what does the sun conjunct Jupiter mean for us as we go forward. Let's take a look at today then. Let's see how Londa, celestiallighthealing.com. I'm going to post that up here. Celestiallighthealing.com. There we go. That is Londa's website. Take a look at it. It's beautiful. And Londa says it's still under construction, but we have it up. Would love visitors and your patience as I bring this forth. Yes. The planet Mercury is still sitting at gate 5, requiring patience from us. Londa says, putting myself out there in a bigger way. Isn't it interesting, Londa, that you're doing that in a Mercury retrograde? I love that, though. And I do think, though, that sort of means that the possibility of some redos and having more patience is a distinct advantage for you. And generosity of spirit feels yummy. Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's Londa's website there. I'll leave that up for a few minutes. So please go visit her website and see what she has to offer. Looking at today we have the moon all day in the sign of Aries. Aries, the sign, is ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars is a planet of action. It is a planet of dynamic forward motion. One of its hallmarks is it does not like to have patience. It wants things done and wants things done now, in this moment. Like I see this picture and I want to move forward. So that's why we sometimes see that Aries, the sign, has a tendency to be impulsive. That impulsivity comes through the ruling planet, through the planet Mars, and how it moves forward, how it wants to have that forward motion. But also, moon in Mars or moon in Aries puts the moon in relationship to Mars, and Mars and the moon don't necessarily dovetail quite so nicely, right? The moon is emotional, it's more introspective, and Mars gets rather impatient with the moon here. And so we sometimes find that our emotions are on that hair trigger edge, and it doesn't take much for us to express our impatience with one another. Or to, do a quick lane change while you're in the car and forgot to check your mirror, and boom, you have a crash into another car. So this is a day to be very aware, to be very careful with what you're doing out there. On top of that, today, the planet Mars is in a challenge or a square relationship to Jupiter. So we have Mars in water right now, Mars in Pisces. It's already a titch frustrated because in water, Mars can't always get the traction it wants to move forward, right? It's not gaining ground in the way it wants to. And now we have Jupiter in a challenging relationship, or Mars in a challenging relationship to Jupiter, which is in fire. So fire energy is creative and it's action oriented. So we have this high energy day, but with some feet on the brakes at the same time. So that can make for also a little bit of just a small bit of irritation. And it may be irritation that's really within, where you feel like that frustration building. So be very careful today. It's also a day filled with excitement. Mars square Jupiter brings excitement to the picture, right? Londa and her excitement for building her website. Mimi, perhaps from the excitement of the weekend in her art show. Me, excitement because I'm building toward the webinar and bringing to you what's going on next year. But it does make it possible for us to jump out of the gate too soon. And then that's a false start, right? In football, a false start is a 5-yard penalty, right? You don't need any 5-yard penalties. That just sets you back further. So allow yourself the space to make decisions that are correct for you by being patient. Patient. This is also a day that if you take a word and you put over in front of it, that is the possibility. Overexcitement, overachiever, overdoing. You got my drift right there. This is anytime Jupiter's involved with another planet, the tendency for us to overdo anything or over plus another word is really high. So we want to choose, in this case, I'm saying choose your battles wisely, right? Choose your battles wisely, because this is not the day for you to go picking on people or picking a battle with someone that you really don't want to get into. So if your tendency today is that you want to express anger or upset, or you're in conflict, or you need to confront somebody, maybe wait. Maybe wait till after this holiday week, when there may be the advantage of having a more peaceful conversation with someone. Because number one, you may be very aware and carefully making sure you're not overreacting, but you can't predict how the other person is going to be, right? So overreaction is another one of the words that we could use for this day today. So you want to watch your tendency for overreaction, but you got to know not everybody's in the know with astrology. I mean, if the whole world listened to us in the morning, they'd know This is not a day for overreaction. We might feel like overreacting, but resist overreacting. You'll love yourself later when you realize that you had patience, that you stayed, cool and calm and collected and didn't make a big mess out of something. All right. Any questions about that? Londa says, oh, eek, putting myself out there in a bigger way. Go for it. I am never going to tell anybody that this isn't a time to put yourself out there, but I think there needs to be a more deliberate presence for you now, as in you have a plan. Remember, Saturn is sitting in Capricorn along with Pluto, and throughout 2019, we're going to talk more about this in the webinar on December 5th, but throughout 2019, those two are coming closer and closer and closer together. And it's huge, right? We haven't had that happening for about 30 years. And that takes us way back in time. And it is powerful. It is a huge sign that what's favored for us right now is deliberateness and goals, right? And following the step-by-step progression and not over expanding, but kind of staying within reason, right? Within boundaries, within what is sustainable. So, and I can't tell you that enough, right? Stay in your boundaries. Don't go out over those boundaries, right? It makes a mess when you do, and it's harder to bring it back in. So keep that in mind. Where was I? Oh, I wanted to talk too about some of the really wonderful words that we could use for this week. And what I did was I took my little 2018 ephemeris. This is a human design ephemeris. And oh gosh, I was going to tell somebody something about this. If one of you all out there were waiting for me to tell you where you could get the 2018 or 2019 ephemeris, please speak up or email me privately and let me know that I was going to tell you that, because now I don't remember who you were. Bad me. And I will let you know. For just right now, you can get it from Zen Human Design, but this is, very intense information. It tells you, let's go over this way. It tells you all the gates that all the planets are going to be in for the entire month, right? So here we are down here, over here. Today's the 19th, and it tells us the sun is in gate 14. The earth is at gate 8. Looked like a 9 for a second. And so some of the key words that we have for this week are really fun. For one thing, the sun is at gate 14. That's bounteousness. Say that 10 times fast. Bounteousness. What does that bring up? It brings up to me that picture of the cornucopia. And here we are at Thanksgiving, where the cornucopia may be sitting on your table, right? Or the idea of abundance. And that's what we're celebrating at Thanksgiving, right? We're being thankful and in gratitude for all of our abundance, for all of our blessings. And it doesn't matter if you're in the US celebrating it or celebrating it in your own country in whatever way that happens, whenever that happens. The idea is we're celebrating the idea of bounty and abundance. The earth this week is supporting abundance by wanting us to make our own contribution to that abundance, whatever that means for you. The idea of gate 8 contribution is that, from my life purpose, which would be at gate 1, it rises up from the identity center to the throat center at gate 8, where then my contribution is made manifest. And that's what we're looking at this week, is how we are manifesting from our life purpose. That may be as simple as hosting a family gathering, to as complex as something like what Londa is doing, launching a website. It doesn't really matter, because each of you has your own pathway to contribution. And it's kind of hanging there this week. I want to show you real quickly the human design chart. Here's today. And where's my pointer pen? I put you over there. So here's gate 14 right here, or gate 8, excuse me, right here. Coming down from the throat center, throat right here, coming down. And it would meet up with the identity center, but that end's open. So really, there's no one set way right now to contribute, right? Whatever it is in your heart, however you want to contribute, whatever it is that you're here specifically to contribute. And here's gate 14 right next to gate 5 on the sacral moving up, and it's open at the other end. So that open end is the gate of reception. So there are people out there for you to connect with that would be in receiving of your contribution or of the bounty that you want to share, or who hold another piece of that abundant cycle for you. And looking here, we see this is a week for you projectors to watch out, because the sacral is defined through the channel of mutation and change to the root center. And then that root center is connected, over to the spleen center via the 5432, which right here at gate 54 is the planet Pluto, and 32 is the planet Venus. And they're connecting up through the channel that is reaching out for success, reaching out to accomplish goals, and is reaching out to contribute to the world via whatever it is that your goals or your aspirations, your dream, your vision is. This is also the walk of spiritual enlightenment, right? We could look at it through the lens of spirit, and we see that the gate 54 is the beginning step toward enlightenment, the beginning of the hero's journey, if you will, and what it is that we're here to express. Now, that means if you have an open spleen, you have an open sacral, or you have an open root center, you are now taking in this energy that's available from the universe. And that tendency then is to what? Amplify it and rebroadcast it. But it is not your natural energy. So no, this is short term. So Londa, my little projector friend out there, yes, you have a lot of energy probably that you're feeling running through your body right now, but you still have to wait for the invitation to get into things. Debbie, my other little projector friend out there, and any other people out there that are projectors, Ellie, I see you out there this morning. Good morning. Make sure that you guys know that this energy that you're feeling running through your body is temporary, right? It's temporary. And while you can use it, it is still very important for you to follow your strategy, which is to wait for invitations to engage in something, and then use your authority to determine how long you must wait before saying yes or no. Okay. And all of you that are manifesting generators and generators, you're already going to have this energy. It's not going to be as noticeable for you. My manifester friends out there, Asa, and I can't think of who else might be a manifester. You also have access to a defined sacral right now, which does give you, again, the action piece. So your Achilles heel, if you will, manifestors, is staying too long in something, right? You may feel like this energy is giving you this longevity in something, but you're really the initiators. You're not meant to stay long-term in something. So you're meant to start something and then get out of it as quickly as possible, right? Or stay in it as long as you feel that your creative energy lasts in it, and not be afraid to move on. But with the sacral also connected to the root center, some people, so it's interesting because the sacral connected to the root center, but also the spleen, gives us that hanging on kind of energy where I'm afraid to let go of something. So don't be afraid to let go in the right time, because tendency this week may be for us to overhold on to something. And that may mean it might be an emotion. It might be something going on within our relationships. It might be this idea that I have that something should work this way, and when it doesn't, I'm afraid to let go of it, or I just don't. So this week gives us a bit of staying power. But overall, the words that we use are bounteousness, contribution, bliss. Even Saturn is sitting at the gate 58, which is on the, oops, that's not the human design chart. Remember gate 58? Sitting down here, right here. It's on the root center. You would think that bliss and joy would be an emotion, but that would mean it would be sitting over here, and it is not. It sits here. It's a foundational energy, right? Saturn is reminding us that the foundation for us as humanity is joy, is bliss, is vitality, okay? Even Mars is in on the act this week. As I think I said last week, Mars is sitting at the gene key or gate 55. The lesson of which is about victimization, but the gift is freedom. And the gate is actually called the gate of abundance from spirit. And it reminds us that abundance isn't something that we have to earn. It isn't something that we work for. It is sitting, and here's another one of those weird things. It's sitting right here on the emotional center. It is a state of emotion. Abundance isn't something that you have to work for, or it would be over here. We do have gate 14, which enjoys working for its bounty, but it isn't that you have to work in order to achieve, because over here, gate 55 says it's an emotional state, right? How you feel about what's going on in your life is the most important thing to tapping into the abundance of spirit. So we've got a lot of places this week that show us all about bounty and abundance and being in gratitude and contributing from this well of greatness that you have, the well of what it is that you're here and meant to share with everybody, right? So good stuff, right? Let's see what people are saying out there. I'm going to switch over here really quick. Ellie says, oh, wow, cool. We can buy those at Zen Human Design. Hold the phone. I'm going to give you the website. Oops, that's not the website. No, the website is www.humandesignsystem.com. So let me take this out of here, hide it for a moment, and put in www.humandesignsystem.com. There you go. And that's where you can order the 2019 version of this. It's available. I already have my copy. My copy had a lot of errors in it, though. So I'm wondering if there's another printing of it coming out that'll fix that. And when I say it had errors in it, up across the top in here, you see all the planetary symbols. Well, I'm aware of what those planets are, thankfully, because in the new one, all of those are gone and they just say letters. So I think it was an error in the printing, right? It says this in mine. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. So I'm hoping that that's something that got fixed in a later printing, so that you know what the symbols mean, what the columns are representing. So yeah, that's where you can get this. It's very useful for me. I don't know how useful it is for you, but some of you may be very interested in being able to chart where the sun is, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to do that, that is where you get it. Let's see. Colleen, I think you were going to tell me. Colleen, there you go. humandesignsystem.com. And you can get a copy of that ephemeris yourself. Anne says, and me too. Gosh, this is good to know. Temporary energy, and I still barely have any. Blech. Yes, Anne, I know. She's been ill. So everybody send Anne some really good, loving, healing energy and beautiful light and beautiful love. We surround you, Anne, with all of that, and hope for you to have a restoration of your wonderful life force energy, bringing you back to bliss and joy and all of that good stuff. And we wish the same for anybody who may be feeling under the weather right now, or feeling not at the tip top of their healthy selves. Let's see, anything else going on? No, I actually wanted to talk to you now about a few things. Reminders. One, I still have the astrology for 2019 available. You can go to my website, and up in the top right corner, you can register, or you can click on the button and it takes you to the page where you can register for the webinar. That is on December 5th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. East Coast time. I don't know if I've told you guys this, and maybe I'm spilling the beans too soon, but I've also asked some guests to join me and kind of chime in with what their thoughts are about 2019 and what they see coming. One of those people is Angie Witzel. Remember, she did the starseed information. She's extraordinarily psychic, and she's going to be joining me for a blurb about what it is that she sees coming for 2019. And she, in a conversation with me the other day, already told me that her guides and angels and whatever she calls them, her helpers are already whispering to her about what's happening for 2019. So she'll be joining me. Rebecca Eigen, who you might remember as being on as the astrologer who does a lot with relationships. The coming year numerologically is a 3. A 3 is a number that always reminds me of community energy, right? Of doing things from a group sort of context. And I want her to come on and share what the potential high side, low side of relationships are for 2019. And well, I have another special guest, but I haven't gotten a final yay or nay. So I'll let you know more about that. But that's again coming up December 5th. If you have not gotten your ticket, please do. If you are not able to attend live that day, you can still purchase and register. And then after the webinar is over, the link becomes the recording for that event, and only you will be able to get that, right? If you've paid for that, then you have access to the recording as well. Those of you who do join me live will also have the link to hear it again, right? And don't forget that this is coming along with a 12-month transit report for each one of you. And I've also figured out how to send you each a beautiful deco sort of chart of yours, a natal chart that I'm going to put in with that. And the week between Christmas and New Year, we'll do a free webinar on how to use that report. Some of you will understand it right away and others of you won't. So I thought it would be fun to get together and talk about how to use that report afterwards. And let's see. Yes, in my blog yesterday, I also put the links to where you can purchase the product that Tam and I worked together on, which was the Energy Almanac. It is available. You can pre-order it now, and it will be available at the end of December. And you can get this in either digital format or in printed format. So you get to choose how you want that delivered. It's less expensive for the PDF digital format, obviously. But you can also get it in printed format if you'd like. And there's also a deal where you can combine both the Energy Almanac and the Magic Maker's Playbook planner together for a really good price. And of course, I wrote the astrology for the Magic Maker's Playbook in the moons for the upcoming year, and also wrote from the Energy Almanac's point of view for the energy for the month. But there's also numerology in there, oils to use for the month. What was the other thing that there was in there? Other holistic information, numbers, oils, astrology. Seems like there was one other thing, but it is more than just about the astrology. That's got other things as part of it as well. And as well, of course, the art from Tam that is putting it all together, right? So you can get that. If you follow my blog, the links were in the post. I'm going to put that up on my website today, so you can get a hold of that. And I'm going to ask you to please use the link I give you, as opposed to just going to her website, because that way we can track how people are finding the almanac. And that's important for me, and it's important for her, so that we can plan ahead for next year's 2020, because we're looking at how is it that we want to deliver that in the year to come. So if you're planning on getting that, make sure you contact me and I will make sure you get that link. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to tell people about. Yes. In my blog yesterday, there is a link to a 9-day meditation free webinar series going on about how to stay calm and cool and peaceful and serene during the holidays. So if you guys need to I'm going to share with you the blog post in case you guys, I don't, oops, that is not the place. Is it? Here it is. I'm going to share with you where the blog post is so you can have easy access to these links, because I'm not altogether sure that all of you are on my mailing list. That's too funny, right? You might not be. And if not, you may be going, what blog post? And I know that's a fairly long link because I didn't want to take the time right now to make it shorter. But if you follow that link, that takes you to the blog. You'll be able to get to the register for the webinar, you'll be able to get to the order place for the Energy Almanac and the Magic Makers Playbook. I think it's called the Magic Makers Planner and Playbook. I love it. Okay, so Asa says she's going to sign up now. And John says, oh my goodness, the 2019 webinar sounds amazing. And Michelle Gay says, yay, love her. She's talking about Angie. And so it also occurs to me, for those of you in Europe, 4:00 my time is going to be what, midnight your time? That's probably pretty late in the day. So for you all, if you purchase, make sure that you understand you'll have the link to listen to the replay. And that if you have any questions, you can always email me the questions, because that's the part that you have the advantage. If you come live, if you have questions, we always have the ability to answer your questions live. But if you're listening to the replay, you'll have to email me your questions if you have them. All right. So the gene key of the week, I wanted to go backwards just about a week in time, because last week we talked about the gene key 34, the shadow of which was force, the gift of which was strength, and the highest expression of it was majesty. And I wanted to tell you why it is I think that this is a worthy exploration for us this week, because for more reasons than this is a holiday week and we have the idea of abundance and all of that. There are so many times, remember we got Mercury at patience, the gate patience, or the shadow of impatience. Well, when we are impatient, what we're really tempted to do is push the river, right? To propel ourselves forward rather than waiting for spirit to show us the direction. We get in there and we just want to force things to happen, which is never a good plan, right? Because forcing things to happen means that all of the characters may not be in alignment yet. All of the points and the parts, the moving parts, may not be in place. And then you go forward then with a less than stellar product, if that's what you're working on, or the opportunity falls apart. So it behooves us to stay in alignment and not force things to happen, but have the strength of patience. But there's another reason why I think this is a really good contemplation for us over the next several days. For one thing, this week on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, the sun changes gates in human design to gate 34, right? So it now is not just Jupiter sitting at 34, but also the sun sitting at gate 34. And then as we move into the last week of the month, then we have Mercury that moves to gate 34. And then into the end of the year, the last months, I think it won't be until Mercury gets out of retrograde that it will pass through gate 34 again, but that won't be until December 13th. So it seems for the short term that 34 would be a worthy contemplation. So for those of you who have the book, who have the Gene Keys book, yours may look a little differently, right? Yours may be one with a circle of a bunch of bubbles on it. Some of you might have one that looks like a dragonfly on the cover. Some of you who have the older version like me, and there's one that's even older than this. It is morphing. But I invite you to go through a deeper dive into the 34. Even if you don't have that natally in your human design, you have an extended period of time where this particular gate is in focus. It is really having us take a look at, where am I forcing things to happen? Or where am I really tempted to push myself forward rather than waiting, or rather than staying in alignment with the spirit, with the timing of spirit? So 34th gene key, it's called the beauty of the beast. That's the name of that gene key. It's part of the ring of destiny. Remember how I talked before about the gene keys and how they are arranged in rings, and that the rings are put together by the energies that are similar, and they code for things that are similar in your DNA. Well, this is the ring of destiny, coding for what it is that you're here to do, your destiny. So the kind of primary thought with gate 34 was that the very first title is the bane of trying. And here trying means that we're pushing, right? That we keep trying new things, we keep doing new things, we try to do things in a different way. But all of that, if we look deeper, is at a fear level, that we're afraid that things won't happen, that we're not moving forward, that what we desire isn't happening. And so it causes us to really move into force. So we see words about force and we see words like trying. And instead, we're aiming for the gift frequency, which is strength, having strength. And when we look at the book, the idea of strength comes from the Olympians, right? The Olympians who work on themselves constantly and move forward. And it's always timing. There's another key piece here of timing. Timing is everything. It is, remember, about the ability to act in harmony with natural forces. And strength has no element of trying or forcefulness within it. So I believe this is a very, that's very Middle Earth, the bane of trying and the ring of destiny. Yes. That's funny. If I didn't have so much to do today, I might just sit back and watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There's really a lot of juiciness, by the way, in that trilogy, if you've ever watched it, besides, the war scenes and the things like, that happen that are not very heart-centered. There's a lot of truth hidden within that trilogy, and it's pretty fascinating to watch it with different eyes, right? The first time or so you watch it, it's all like, oh wow, the action and this and the story and the characters, right? But then later you start watching this and you're like, wow, isn't that sort of a about the paradigm we're living in right now kind of thing? It's really funny to do that. Ellie says, proper timing is my new best friend. It should be all of our new best friends. Mimi says, 34 is literally in my personality at North Node Destiny. We'll take the dive. It is so worthwhile. We've already done the dive, a superficial dive here in as much time as we have. What I'm inviting you all to do is a deeper dive. Now, I just want to ask a poll question really quick. A poll, P-O-L-L question, without the poll in front of you. What would you all think of having a once weekly or maybe once every other weekly deep dive into a gene key session? And here's how that would look. We would gather in Zoom as a meeting, which would be, it's video, but you can also join by telephone with that if you don't have access to video, and, just be able to participate and have a discussion group around whatever the gene key focus is for that week. And I think that would be something that would help us all learn deeper. So Debbie Tibbet says, yes, let's start seeing what people say. Because if you're willing to join me with that, I am willing to take the time to do that. I think there's a lot of juiciness, in being able to share both the shadow energy, which I'll kind of, lay out. But I want us to focus on what it is that we can do. What are the practical steps that we can take to move out of one shadow and up into the gift of that gene key or of that gate. Ellie says, sounds excellent. And Debbie, that was quick, but yes. Asa says, love it. So I would have to sort of see what we could do around timing, because I know we're embracing, several time zones here. So I'll try to figure out something that makes that work for everyone. And it may be we have to do it a little earlier in the day, perhaps. I don't know. There's, when we have this big giant globe that we live on, trying to do something that is in a time that everybody can be there. We had this problem with the Gene Keys Ambassador program. There are times I would have to be in a meeting at 6 a.m. because it gave London a time to be there that wasn't in the middle of the night, or it gave Australia an opportunity to be there at a time that wasn't in the middle of their night. So we in the Pacific time zone, would have to wobble between 6 a.m. and 12 noon. 6 a.m., 12 noon. 12 noon was great. 6 a.m. not so great, but it was the shift we had to make in order to allow other time zones, so they didn't have to be there at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. Colleen says definitely, especially with the phone option. And yeah, the phone option with Zoom is always there. And the beauty about that is, number one, if you're, closer to the evening and you're in your pajamas, you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. And Zoom also provides numbers that are country appropriate, or you can tap into a phone number that doesn't charge you long distance, or if you're in Canada or you're in England or Bulgaria, you can find a code, a number that works for your country, and you don't have to incur extra cell charges, etc. So I love Zoom. Jacqueline says that would be great. Colleen, would there be a replay? Yes, I think that would be a really good thing. It's free. I'm not thinking of charging to do this. This is more just for us to really, gain some momentum in the gene keys over the year. And in that, there would be a recording and the replay potential. So yeah, it would be nice, Ellie said, to go back later in the day and watch a recording, kind of like how you do with the MetaCafe. Exactly. Anne says, good point, Colleen, regarding the replay. Also, no idea about Zoom, but looking forward to finding out more. Zoom is what we're going to be using for the webinar. And for you as a participant in Zoom, really, you get a link and you click on that link and it opens up for you. It puts whatever it needs to on your computer for that time period, or your phone, or your, iPad, whatever, tablet you use, and then opens up for you and you get connected. It's very super simple. Unlike Skype, which you usually have to download to your computer and then comes along with all this advertising junk stuff. It takes down my computer every time. But Zoom is smooth and it's very easy to use. You don't even have to take any extra action. I usually just tell people, if it's your first time using Zoom, click on the link about 5 minutes before the webinar or before the meeting, so your computer has an opportunity to, or your phone has the opportunity to open this up. So it's really simple, super, super simple. I like super, super simple. All right. I think that is it for me today. Yeah, I was going to pull a card, but I didn't grab my cards. So I'm going to duck out for a second while I grab my cards. So hold the line for a moment while I do that. I should know better. I should just have my cards sitting on my desk here, but I have this big bucket down here of cards, like, I don't know, 20 different decks perhaps down there. And let's just draw a card and allow Spirit to tell us what we need to be aware of for the week's energy. And Anne says, okay, cool. My sister is already using and singing its praises. Thanks. I just drew Clean It Up. I didn't draw it. Actually jumped out of the deck and dropped like this. That's always helpful, isn't it? It is card number 21. That is interesting because why is that? Today, the moon is sitting at gate 21. And remember, gate 21 is the gate of control. It sits on the identity or the will center, and it is sometimes where we are in the midst of trying to control everything. Don't you love that this, male deer or elk has a feather duster in his mouth? He's going to clean up. He's going to clean it up. So let's take a look at that and see what that means for us. The card 21, because it came out this way, there's no clear indication of whether it was upright or in protection. So I'm going to read it all. How about that? And that way we have the information we need. Clean it up. The essential meaning is getting to the core of a situation, freedom from a burden, cleaning house, sweeping away what is no longer needed. And the oracle's message says, ever feel so bogged down with emotional gunk that you can't think straight? Could you be surrounded by physical clutter in your home also? Too much work? Overwhelmed? Time to clean house. Every item out of place natters away at you. Every unresolved resentment, every comparison to others that leads to a sense of lack takes up energetic space. Every unpaid bill just adds up to an unnecessary feeling of being overwhelmed. Now is the time to free yourself by energetically cleaning house. Just do it. Make room for the miracles that are lining up for you. The relationship message says, time to clear the air. Take a look at your side of the street and say what's on your mind. Sweep it kindly, and don't do that today. I don't think this is not a good day to do that. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. Sweep away the old stuff so that a spring breeze can flow through the new energy. It's the perfect time to do an inventory of your dynamics and see what's yours and what's not yours, to clean up the relationship. Everyone brings some baggage. Sort through what you brought with you and let go of what is no longer needed. Become unencumbered and your relationship will flourish. The prosperity message. Simple things like opening your mail, paying bills, sorting out your timetable, making lists, and getting organized is what this symbol means when it comes to your work. Make time for yourself too. This card is a sign you may be overburdened and overwhelmed. It's okay to say no. You'll prosper even more if you do. Now, the protection message. This is if the card was meant for us to also, some of us may need to look at this from the protection side. And is it possible you may be focusing too much on other people right now? Trying too hard to be helpful? Does taking on what belongs to others make you feel needed or desired? Perhaps you think it's your calling to relieve people of their burdens, but what is the cost to you and to them? Don't clean up someone else's side of the street. You're not helping by freeing him or her of responsibility. You're also not doing yourself any favors, and you just might be adding an even greater strain. You are loved as you are. You don't need to be needed to be loved. That's kind of an interesting message, I think. I noticed Suzanne put the angel number 3 up. And number 3 carries the vibrations of communication and self-expression, adventure, inspiration, creativity, humor, optimism, and joy. I love the number 3. So you can read that. She's listed all of that there in the chat. Good morning, Lynn again. Lynn says, yes, interested regarding the poll question. Also, FYI, I think Rosie Aronson's Wisdom Keeper 64 Faces of Awakening Oracle deck is on special at Amazon this week. Yay. Thank you for letting us know that, Lynn. Mimi, perfect. After the show, the house and other things need cleaning up to prepare for whatever is next. And I was going to tell you guys that the early days this week, Monday, Tuesday, are probably the 2 best days of the week to get things done because we have the moon in Aries. You can channel a lot of any kind of frustration or conflict or confrontational energy that you're feeling into work, whatever that might be. Maybe work at work or work on cleaning your house and preparing for Thanksgiving, whatever that means for you. You could be channeling your energy there, and that will keep you maybe from some of the more irritating energies of the early part of the week. On Wednesday, we transition into the moon in Taurus and end up Wednesday and Thursday with the moon in Taurus, a much better feely good sign, where all of the sights and the smells and the excitement of Thanksgiving, or of, if you're not in our country experiencing Thanksgiving on the same day, but you could just join your energy with ours in the sensual delights of all of the things the holiday weekend the holiday brings. And then later in the week, Gemini, you can read about that in the blog post. I think I am complete for the day. Thank you all for joining me this morning. It is really good to see you there. Mwah! Much love to you all. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.